Hi friends, this is Prem. Today we are going to discuss about the very important thing. Yes, January 2026 visa bulletin, and we got a lot of good news for the Indians who are waiting for the green card across all the categories, I can say. But there is a jackpot on EB1 category. EB1 is moving fast. It's not only good for the EB1 category people, it's good for the EB2 and EB3 category people, because if EB1 become current, the unused visa from EB1 will flow into the EB2 and EB3, so they can get benefits in the later time. So EB1 should go fast, and it's happening. And EB5 also, I can see a lot of movement, and EB2 and EB3 as well. So this is the very good visa bulletin so far I am seeing after the October 2025 visa bulletin. Let's discuss all the details with our attorney Henry. I have few data and I want attorney's predictions how the date will be move it further. Before going to the call, if you have any questions, visa questions or any clarification, please feel free to create a free appointment with Manifest. It's completely free consultation. You have the QR code on your screen. Just scan this QR code and create your free consultation with Manifest Law. Hi Henry, vanakkam.
Vanakkam.
How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Busy time as always. Fridays are crazy. I wonder what news comes next. Latest one now is the visa bulletin, right?
True. So every Friday we are expecting some news. I don't know whether it's a good or bad news, but we are expecting some news on the Fridays. And how is the weather there?
Pretty good. I'm in Arizona, so it's nice and cool for me. A little break from the hot.
Exactly opposite here. It's harsh winter is going on. It's cold winds. Like the weather in immigration also, there is a too extreme. So we are getting a lot of bad news regarding the lot of appointments rescheduling in India. Even January appointments are rescheduled to 2027. Some people got 2027. They got surprised. Wow. But other end, we got some good news on the January 2026 visa bulletin. I guess fresh year. Let's start with the fresh good news. We'll discuss about January 2026 visa bulletin. Can you please give us overview of what is final action date and date of filing?
The final action date is the date that is most important in the law, because the final action date is what actually allows the government to issue a green card. So if you have a pending adjustment of status, it doesn't matter how long it's been pending. If the priority date is not current under the final action date, they just cannot give you the green card. They are not allowed to. The biggest news and the best news for people is if the final action date moves, because that means that a lot of people who had pending adjustments for several years, now if they have a 2022 date and it moved over to 23, it means that they are probably going to see some approvals very soon. Dates of filing was created under the Obama administration as a mechanism to allow people to start filing the adjustment of status cases even when they aren't yet current on the FAD. And there's sort of two main purposes for the dates of filing. Number one, it's just to give people the opportunity to file and get the EADs and things. Or two, it's kind of a control mechanism for USCIS. Sometimes the dates of filing is very close to the FAD when the government is trying to stop too many cases from being filed. And when they have more capacity, they will move the dates of filing further away. And then there's going to be a larger group of people in between those dates that can start filing cases, getting the adjustments pending.
Every visa bulletin, the USCIS will tell the people, right? So which date you should start for the I-485. So what is the date they mentioned for January 2026 visa bulletin?
Right now, it looks like USCIS is going to be accepting I-485s based on the dates of filing, which means that a lot of new people are going to be able to also file their adjustment of status. Some months, USCIS will say we will only accept cases based on the final action dates, but a lot of the times they do accept cases on the dates of filing. And for January, people can file based on the date of filing. So if you have an approved I-140, you look at the dates of filing and your priority date is current, then plan for January for filing. So start booking your medical for early January maybe to get that done and be ready to submit the case sometime in the month of January.
So let's go back to the employment-based green card dates. So yeah, I know a lot of good news are there. Can you just explain Indians' employment-based green cards?
So the biggest thing for change for India is that in the EB1 category, we have advancement from March 2022 to February 2023. So it's almost 1 year of a jump. And I personally know several people who I've done consultation with who had their priority dates in early 2022 that they were talking to me just a few months ago asking, when is this going to go? Because I've been waiting on my adjustment for 3 years and my child is aging out, and there's all these concerns, and this is taking forever. And I know that, okay, now they can move forward.
Yeah, thanks, Henry. Yeah, I can see the EB1 is a big jump, not only on the final action date, there is a jump on the date of filing as well. So can I consider, so USCIS is having more visa to give to the people? Are they getting some visa from family based last year to now? What is happening? Why they are moving the date of filing now?
Unclear. So we don't have definitive evidence about this yet, but I do think there is some leftover numbers from the family-based categories. It's just that the government moves slowly and we don't yet have the final report for the 2025 fiscal year. I think that's going to be coming either this month or maybe January, and then we will know exactly how many cases in the family-based did they approve and how many green cards were issued. But there are some estimates that between 20 to 50,000 family-based visa numbers were unused. What that means is a lot of people are applying, but the government has basically been too slow with the family-based cases, so they didn't use up all of the numbers that they could use. Similar thing happened right during COVID when there was one big jump for the employment-based cases. There were so many family cases left over that it all went over to the EB. So I think the similar thing is happening here, that for 2025, they didn't use up the FB, and now these leftover numbers are basically being transferred to 2026 for EB cases. Means that, the EB applicants are benefiting from this, that we get this one big jump. So the good news is we had this jump. Maybe the bad news is that I would not hope for every next month to be the same, right? There's probably not going to be these big jumps every month moving forward. It might again start being very slow.
Everyone can understand because a lot of people are waiting for so long and they know how the dates are moving. Usually this big jump we see whenever the financial year starts, like the October. But in the mid of some financial year, seeing the big jump is the big jackpot. So we cannot expect the jackpot for every month, I can understand. And I have one more question. Not only the EB1, there is a big movement on the EB5 unreserved category for India.
Not sure exactly what is the reason behind the EB5. It could also be that spillover, that they get some of them from the family-based cases.
Yeah, I just try to understand how the spillover split happening between these categories. Say example, we are getting the 1 lakh unused family-based green card, so they will spill over across all the categories, like how they are allocating their usual quota of 1,40,000 green cards, employment-based.
EB1 gets almost 30%, so there's 28% that goes to the EB1, and then the EB2, 3 also get their split. Evenly split between the EB1, 2, and 3. EB4 is a kind of a separate thing that gets less, only 7%, and EB5 gets about 7%. The main winner is EB1 because it is higher priority, and if the EB1 doesn't use everything that it's getting, then it falls down again to the lower categories and lower categories. So that explains why we're not going to see such a huge difference on the EB5s, because it gets a smaller percentage. And then why I think there is not that much movement for EB2, especially for India, is just that there's so much demand for it, right? There is such a backlog. There's so many cases filed every year for EB2 that you just don't see much movement. And same for EB3. And EB3 is just stuck because there's so many perm cases in the pipeline that it's just barely moving.
Thanks, Henry. So here I have the summary on the Excel sheet. I'm just seeing the difference between the last visa bulletin and this visa bulletin. So if you are seeing the date of filing, EB1 is moved for 108 days. That is a very big movement. That's what Henry mentioned. It's a jackpot, and don't expect this jackpot for every month. And EB2, EB3, there is no movement on date of filing. That is totally fine. And EB4 moved 28 days, and EB5 moved 761 days on date of filing. Whereas the final action date is the date where USC has decided whether we can give the green card or not. So that day date if you are taking, EB1 moved 3 days, that is almost 11 months. Wow. And the EB2 also good progressing, 61 days, and the EB3 54 days, and EB4 122 days, and EB5 unreserved 304 days. That is also more than 10 months, which is great. I just compared how they were doing the last year compared to this year. So there is not much movement on January. If I am taking the final action date of EB1, they didn't move last year. It's a 0. But this year 323 days. Likewise, the EB2 it remains same. EB3 also this year I am seeing a good progressing. EB4 and EB5 also very good progressing. So it clearly mentioned they got some supply in between the financial year. That could be the family-based green card, but we are not clear at this point. So we may clear in the next month. So my other question, Henry. So can we expect some more supply also when they release the data?
I think it's possible. Basically, the government is slow and the fiscal year ends in September 30th. They will not know exactly on October 1st how many, and then that means that for the October or the November visa bulletin, it's not going to be already all of the numbers considered, and the decision making there to count everything and then decide how are they going to move the dates for the bulletin, that takes time. So that's why I think it explains the January bulletin, right? That now it's been a few months already. They've probably have a good idea of how many numbers they've used and how much they have left over. But it's possible that the counting is still ongoing. Maybe they have already discovered, 20, 30,000, and maybe next month we still get a little bit more. But hard to say exactly what's going to happen. Hopefully there will be a little bit more movement. But after that, I think it's going to go back to the normal, right? So probably from February or maybe March, again, we're going to see the same sort of standard movements as usual until maybe next year in October again when the fiscal year ends, and then usually there's a bump from that.
So you mentioned clearly the slow processing is one of the reason, could be why the family-based green card is not giving that much. And also the recent times I am seeing the embassy and consulates applied more and more review process, and there are more RFEs, and we are seeing after the Washington DC shooting. My question is so can we expect more visa next year, that is financial year 2027, because I can see a lot of strict measures on this year, as well as there are adding more country bans as well.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely possible. I mean, we've talked on this show before, for example, about the public charge rule and how they are now considering health condition, whether somebody has health insurance and what is their income potential. So it really can slow down the processing in many, many countries, consulates around the world, which means that if they can process fewer family cases per year at the consulates or embassies, that's all going to be leftover stuff, because the rule is use it or lose it, right? So if a family-based category does not use up all the numbers, it moves over to the employment one. Even if there's delays, you just have to wait for the next year if you're on the family track. So if they continue with these policies, I think it's very possible that every year we're going to see some numbers like this, or maybe even more.
Yeah, like COVID time. So not exactly like COVID time, because the COVID time is complete travel ban. So it brought a lot of family-based green card to the employment-based green card. But now it's a partial travel ban. So we can expect more visa. Yeah. Thanks, Henry. That's why I start with the weather. So like weather, we have so many good news and so many bad news at the same time. So so in immigration also, at least we'll take this good news for January 2026 visa bulletin, and we'll see how it is working. If you have any question on your green card date or any visa question, please feel free to create a free appointment with Manifest and get it clear, because this is a very important time, because when the date is moving, every day is important. Don't get any delay. And thanks, Henry, for your time, and you explained very well today. Thank you, Henry.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Nandri.